All right, kids, it's time for another installment of Random Night Road Trips. Yes, this shit actually has a name now. And we are now headed towards Enterkin.
Hold on, kiddies.
We got a full house tonight. There's 4 of us. Go ahead and show all the pretty people who all's here.
You're supposed to turn back there.
We got Kyle and Natasha back here, and we got Nate driving. And me, Dean.
Enterkin was back
Yeah, we
there
passed the road to Enterkin, so we're not headed towards there anymore, but who cares? It's random night.
brand new.
Yeah, we might as well start with that story. I did some spring cleaning recently. You know, since I'm doing this a lot more often now, I decided to clean up the bedroom a little bit, aka my recording studio. And I bought, you know, new rugs and shit and put them down to cover up my crusty looking carpet that's been in there for 12 years and has long since needed some attention. And no more than a day after I got everything cleaned up, got the rugs down, got everything dusted, everything was looking great, somebody here in the back seat spills coffee on my brand new rugs.
Yeah.
We're in Saltillo now.
Yep.
So yeah, that was an interesting experience.
And he looks at me and he goes, brand new. And I told him, I said, just shut the hell up, put your fucking bowl baby in, and I will clean it up. So I did.
Yeah.
Brand new, crying bullshit. I cleaned the mess up. Shut up.
So yeah.
Let's go ramp on Travis's door.
Nah, we drove by his place in the last one.
Oh.
Yeah. Nah, this is a whole new experience. So yeah, that's what happened there. But eventually I'm gonna set up a better recording setup for the Nate Fails At videos. Like have like an actual like backdrop, so you know it looks a little more professional. But I'm getting there. So all right, we're heading north on 655. Where we're gonna end up, I don't know. I don't know, but we're gonna get there. Let's see here. Coming up on Fairview Road. And, you know what? Let's do it.
Never been back that way.
I have.
I have not.
Well, looks like you're about to, Sonny. Because that's where we're headed.
Road cone! I road cone.
Nah, I don't feel like stealing any state property tonight. But,
okay.
Here we go. We're on Fairview Road, passing Race Car Drive.
Brand new. What?
Alright, this is definitely plunging into the middle of nowhere.
And we're in the abyss.
Yes.
Oh my god, a mailbox. Holy crap.
Delving deeper into the darkness.
I think we'll find the mole people.
I hope so. I really want to.
Hey Dean, there's a pond down here for you to go fishing.
Ooh. Now, no popping wood in my car.
I'd poke a hole in my drink.
Oh, there's another story.
Oh god.
Here. Point the camera at my cup holder. This parking brake and these cups do not mix. One time, we got one of those sweet teas, and I put it in the left cup holder, and we got to my house, and I went to get it to go inside, and I rammed it right into that parking brake.
Ripped a nice hole in it. And
tea everywhere.
Seat, Nate,
all over the seat, all over me, all over the floor, all over
Thank God
my
for seat
case.
covers.
Yeah. So, ever since then, I no longer put anything styrofoam in that cup holder.
Yep. Not a good idea.
Not at all.
Bad things happen.
Bad things definitely happen. let's see. Oh, we're coming up on an intersection.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
It's getting exciting now, kids.
I seen a leaf.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, right.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm breaking our left tradition and going to the right.
Bitch.
We're going to the right.
Bastard.
We're going
Right
to
turn,
the right.
Clyde.
All right.
Yeah, you just made it right.
Yes, I did. And I'd do it again, too.
Uh-oh.
I don't see any approaching roads.
Well, what do you expect?
We're still in Huntington County.
That's right. Bunch of little solar lights and shit down in there. Finding a lot of ponds on this trip. Well, I think we'll call this a segment and we'll come back in here in a little bit.
10-4.
All right. We are climbing some random hill. And I thought of another couple of stories to tell you. Since we're on the subject of food and specifically McDonald's food, I have to tell a story. My next door neighbor used to take me to the racetrack, you know, when we were younger. And he would often stop at either the pizza place or McDonald's or somewhere like that. Well, he would always order a shit ton of food for himself. And that always included the filet of fish sandwich. Well, one day we stopped at McDonald's on the way there, and he orders his usual almost everything on the menu and his fish sandwich. And we get there, and you know, the sun's not even going down yet. Like, they usually held these things in the evening after it starts getting dark. And he heads down to the porta potties that they had down by the food wagon. And he gets in there, and I followed him down because I, you know, didn't really want to sit at our spot by myself because, you know, it would have been boring for me because the races hadn't actually started yet. But anyway, all you hear coming from this porta potty is just these short little for about an hour. I'm not even making this shit up. This happens for like an hour. There's a line forming, you know, progressively as this is going on. And all the while, I'm just sitting on the bumper of somebody's truck, just watching all of this unfold. And these people are in line like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? What's taking so goddamn long? And all you hear is... And I'm sitting there laughing my ass off, and like nobody's paying attention to me or anything. But then when it hits about the 1 hour mark, then all you hear is and about, you know, 2 minutes later, out he comes and just walks on by this line of people like nothing happened. So yeah. Oh, boy.
And that, kiddies, is why you don't eat at McDonald's.
Yeah. Eat McDonald's food in moderation.
Yeah. Don't eat like a caveman.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's another interesting story about him. I was at his house one day, and I used to be like really good friends, you know, with his son. Like, we've gone our separate ways. He's doing his thing elsewhere now. You know, we don't really see each other that much. But anyway, we were getting ready to leave to go somewhere. And of course, my neighbor was sitting there on the floor in his underwear, watching TV, eating one of these family-sized microwave lasagnas. You know, like they had each eaten half of it right before we were getting ready to leave. And as we're walking out the door, he says, put another one of them in the microwave for me. And he polished the whole thing off himself. Yeah.
Only him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could do a whole video just about stories about this guy. Like, I used to idolize this guy as a kid, you know.
Tell him about how he fixed the mower.
Oh, that's a whole category of stories.
The Cub.
All right, well, he had this old Cub Cadet riding mower. And it was one that was all beat up and falling apart. One of the engine bolts was missing or was broken off or something like that. And whenever he would go to start it, you know, it would crank over a few times and rattle like a son of a bitch.
Hey,
oh, holy shit,
fireworks.
there's fireworks ahead of us. Distraction, yay! We're recording this right before St. Patrick's Day. So I'm guessing some people are already partying because the fireworks were like green and shit. Anyway, back to the story. This thing would rattle and carry on and throw a fit, and after it got running, it would smooth out. Well, his solution to fix this problem, not put new bolts in it, not take it to a shop to get it fixed, he wedges a block of wood in behind the motor right in front of the steering column, and that was his solution. The sad part is that it worked. I mean, this man does not understand the idea of how to repair something properly. I mean, he had another old lawnmower, and the steering linkage broke. So he fixes it with electrical tape and rubber bands. I'm not even making this up. He fixed it with electrical tape and rubber bands. And not even like rubber bands that you'd buy in a bag at a store. No. He took an old bicycle inner tube and cut chunks out of it and made rubber bands that way. And that is how he fixed this thing. And it stayed that way until the day he got rid of it finally. I mean, I don't know how many different pieces of yard equipment or various electronics this man has gone through over the years. I mean, it's way too many to count. In fact, it's impossible to count. If you tried to count it, your head would probably explode.
All right, tell him about him fixing his truck or taking to a mechanic and
oh, that story. I know. He used to have an old Chevy pickup. And, you know, it was getting up there in miles and years. I think the thing was like an 86. He was getting tired of having shit fixed. So he takes it to the garage and tells them in all sincerity, anything under the hood that don't need to be there, rip it out. And that's what they did. Out came the cruise control, like the AC, anything that was not the least bit important, it went.
Vacuum hoses.
Vacuum hoses.
No power steering?
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, by the time they were done, like, there was like enough space under the hood that you could live in there. Yeah. But, oh, here's another story about him, speaking of stupid things he did to his truck. Where he used to work, he was cutting wood up on the hill behind it. And he was throwing the logs down off the hill into the bed of the truck. Well, he misses and hits the tailgate and bends it down like a V, and it bounces back up and smashes out the back window. Yeah.
What a dope.
But the reason I bring this guy up was not to tell you all of this. It was to tell you about something that happened to me. I used to be into buying and selling at flea markets. I've mentioned this before.
Yep.
Well, my neighbor still does this to this day. And a few years ago, I agreed to help him haul stuff to the place where he was going to set up for, they were having like a fall festival. And he had his pickup truck, an old U-Haul, and a bus full of stuff. And that was still not enough hauling capacity for the amount of junk that he had. No, he needed me to take my truck to this place that was about, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour away. But anyway, the thing that he needed me to haul was an outhouse. Not one that was functional, one that was like decorative, that you'd sit in your yard. And it had a life-size cardboard cutout of Elvis in it. So I'm like, sure, whatever, I'll help you out. So we load this thing in the back of my truck. For whatever reason in the entire cosmos, we put the pointy end of the roof facing up and forward, directly at my back window. I think you can see where this is going. But anyway, he wanted to stop along the way and pick up a porta potty from a guy that rents them, because he knew he was going to be at this place for a good week. So we make the turn to go to this place, and I'm following him because I don't know where it is. He didn't know where it was. He just had vague directions from the guy when he talked to him on the phone. Well, about 5 miles down the road, we're in the middle of literally nowhere. Like, you could scream and nobody would hear you for miles. He slams on the brakes in front of me, thus meaning I needed to slam on my brakes. Next thing you know, I've got an outhouse through my window. Yeah.
Oh shit. Shit house.
Right. Yeah. So, that's not where it ends though. You know, we cleared all the glass out that was broken and stuff and cleaned it up as best as we could. And I finished hauling it for him and I went home. You should have heard the conversation I had with the insurance company.
Explain this one.
Yeah. When you tell your insurance agent that Elvis broke your back window with an outhouse, they tend to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Or just ignore the claim.
I explained it to them. There was a long, awkward pause, and they accepted the claim. And the insurance lady on the other end said, that story is just too weird to be made up. So a few days later, the guy from Safelite comes and replaces my back window, and that's the end of that story. But yeah, that really happened. Yes, sir.
Yes, I seen the aftermath of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened. Alright, we're pretty much on the same stretch of road we were before, so we'll come back here in a little bit. Alright, we're back. And we are on what I believe was Front Mountain Road. And we are going into the middle of nowhere now. I was thinking up some more stories to tell, and I had mentioned about my flea market days. So here's a story about that. I used to mostly deal in used electronics. And I would often buy stuff off of the other people in there and, you know, clean it up, fix it, I mean, do what I could with it, and then resell it. And one time I bought this old floor console TV, and I had that thing sitting in my lot for months. And, you know, we'd have like a VCR hooked up to it, a DVD player, and we'd just play movies on it just to demonstrate that it worked. Well, one time, about 8 months after I had this thing sitting there, somebody finally came around and bought it. It was an older guy and his wife. And they bought this thing for me and took it home. Never heard another thing of it. Well, the following summer, I believe, is when this happened. It was 1 or 2 summers later, actually. Anyway, it was going into summer. That's the thing that matters. I had volunteered for community cleanup day. Our one teacher at the school was gathering up a group to go do this, and so I decided to do it. So anyway, I got assigned to go help at the local cemetery to help, you know, trim weeds, cut grass, stuff like that. So sure enough, I get there, and who do you think is the guy in charge of it? The same guy that bought this TV. He points at me and gives me the evilest look. He's like, "You!" I'm like, "What about me?" "You're the one that sold me that motherfucking TV that blew up." And I'm like, "What do you want me to do? You bought a used TV as is." "So the guy took that thing home and had it in my house for a fucking week and the fucker blew up."
It's an old piece of crap TV, Pappy. What do you want?
Exactly. And the whole time, you know, this guy is trying to fix this old lawnmower that he had in the shed there. And obviously this guy's dumb as fuck, because he's trying to put one of those split end mulching blades on a side discharge lawnmower. And he's not smart enough to use the blade adapter for the universal blade. And he couldn't even so much as get the fucking bolt out of the fucking engine shaft. So I basically just took it from him and did it for him. He's like, "Well, if you're so fucking smart, you can just use that motherfucker." So I did. And I start mowing along the edge of the cemetery a little bit. This guy is just like riding my ass hard about everything. So I said enough was enough. I took his fucking mower and just pushed it down over the bank and left it flop in the creek. And I walked the whole way through town, complete to the opposite end of town, where a lot of my friends were. They got assigned to paint the church sign as you come into town. And that leads me into the next story. As we're painting this sign, we realized about halfway through that we got the 2 paint colors mixed up. So what was supposed to be red ended up being white, and what was white ended up being red. And so ever since then, to this day, that sign is now the opposite colors of what it was for however long it was before they put it up. And you can still see on the back of it the big splotch that we painted on the back whenever we couldn't decide whether or not we were going to fix it. But we were told, "Nah, don't worry about it, it looks fine like that." So there was that. And let's see. What other interesting stories happened back in my flea market days? Well, we used to kind of have like a little base set up in there where we had the computer, and it was like a little bunker we built. And we would sit there in the middle of this place and we'd play games on this old computer, and we'd be loud and obnoxious as hell, because that's the way we were. And one day we were just sitting there bored out of our mind. So we're just back and forth. We're like, "Yep! Yep! Yep! Yep." And then the owner of the place comes walking by. She's like, "You guys are vulgar." And like, we weren't even saying anything vulgar. We're just going, "Yep!"
Yeah.
And as she walks away, we did it again.
Yeah.
Yep! So yeah.
Yep.
Those were some good times. And of course, there was the guy in the lot next to us who didn't really even put anything on tables or shelves. It was mostly just piled up on the floor. I mean, that was a complete junk hole. He had everything from like old, expired, like goldfish crackers to old batteries, broken TVs. He had this singing Bing Crosby Santa Claus that was missing its lower jaw, and this man would not throw anything away. Like, if he had it, he would sell it. I mean, most of this stuff was dirt cheap, but, you know, and the more you tried to clean it up, the worse the mess got, if that even makes sense. But one day he just flat out admitted to me that he wasn't even concerned about whether or not he sold anything. He just wanted cheap storage. Yeah, so it sort of became a running gag, like, what more junk is this guy gonna bring in here? And to the day that place closed, that was what it was. It was just a mountain of junk. I mean, every now and then you'd find something in it that was actually worth something, but most of the time, nah. Not so much. Oh my. Well, we're still on the same road, off into the middle of nowhere. I have really no idea where it is we're going to end up, because I don't think I've ever been on this road before.
Sign up there.
Let's see, Belleville that way, Mill Creek that way. Alright, we're going this way. Fuck it. Here's another story about buying and selling. I told you all stories about my next door neighbor. Well, here's one about him buying and selling. The company he used to work for before it changed hands to someone else, their headquarters, which was actually not far from where we are now, believe it or not, allowed him to have a yard sale in front of it, because I guess there was some like community yard sale or something like that going on in that area. But anyway, along the way there, we stopped at someone else's yard sale, and he found this plastic pig that was like a yard ornament. I mean, it just looked like an ordinary pig. It wasn't cartoony looking or anything. It just looked like a normal everyday pig. He paid 50 cents for this thing. So he sits it out at the end of the spot that we had in front of this business, and he marks it up to like $1 or something like that. So, of all the things that could have happened, the person that he bought it off of comes driving by. And she turns around and comes back and looks at it, like bewildered as to whether or not it's the same pig. And of course, we recognize the lady. So, he gets this genius idea, let's mark the price up even higher and see if she comes back and looks at it again. So he marks it up to $2. Sure enough, about an hour later, along comes this lady again, and she looks at it like completely amazed that it's now suddenly $2. So the gears start turning, and he says, mark that thing up to $9. So we put $9 on this plastic pig, and this lady comes back, and by this point she looks like she's ready to shit her pants. Like she genuinely thinks she has something valuable that she gave up. And we're laughing our asses off because we're sitting at the other end in our lawn chairs watching this lady's reaction. And she drives off in her car all pissed off, and we never see her again. Wow. But while we were there,
slow her down there, Tater.
But while we were there, he had this box, and inside of it was a couple of teeth. Yeah, that's right, teeth. They were some person's old partial denture plates. Along comes this big fat guy. I mean, this guy was fucking fat. I mean, he was dressed very nice. He was, cleaned up pretty nice and stuff, but he was like round. All right, this guy,
bigger than me.
Right, bigger than me. But anyway, and he actually buys these things. Now, mind you, this was in the days before stuff like Pawn Stars and American Pickers and stuff like that, before this sort of thing was like a thing. You know, and I understand, you know, that people have been buying weird stuff since the beginning of time, but why in the world would you want to buy somebody's used teeth?
Weird people buy weird things.
I guess so, but that just always sticks out in my mind.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. And, what can you do, you know?
Sell weird things to weird people.
I guess so.
Make them happy.
That's right.
Happy, happy, happy.
Exactly. Alright, well that's it for that segment. We'll come back in when we find something else interesting.
Toodaloo, folks.
Alright, I think we're on the last leg of this one, but I just wanted to tell a couple more stories. In through here where we are now, a few years ago when I still had the truck, we were coming around a turn, not this one, it was a few turns back, but whatever, and we spun it into a field. And we were like, yeah! First field of the night! And, you know, we got back out of the field and back on the road. And, you know, that was just a small little thing that happened. But, I told you that to tell you another story about my next door neighbor. Actually, two more stories. The first one was one time he came back this way. The railroad tracks are not far from here. He drove one of the fire trucks from the local fire company up along the railroad tracks because the main road was blocked. He actually drove it up the tracks from here to almost the whole way into town, close to where we are now. So yeah, I could just imagine that, being in a train going by and there's a fucking fire truck driving up the stones along the side of the tracks. But that wasn't the main story I wanted to tell. Related to the truck story, one time we were in his old car, my neighbor's old car, and we were driving back another back road, not too far from here, and there was some sort of critter that ran out on the road, and he gets the bright idea to pull the emergency brake and try and swing around and run over it, because that's just the kind of crazy, goofy moron he is. Well, he spins us down into a cornfield, and I mean down into, like, down over a slope into this field. And there we are, with the wheels about half sunk into mud. And, of course, we were both, like, me and my friend who was with him, we were both, like, 9 years old at the time. And, he hops in the driver's seat, my neighbor gets out and starts pushing, and he's like, just get on it! So there he is, flooring it, while the other one's pushing. We're slipping and sliding out of this field and get back up on the road. And of course, they changed seats, you know, typical Chinese fire drill. And we went along our merry way. So yeah, a couple of field hopping stories there for you. So, I think that's about it for this adventure. We're getting close back to my house. So I think we'll call this one done.
Yep.
Adios, amigos.